Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Dubai Autodrome. It is time once again for another weekend of action from the NGK UAE ProCar Championship 2022. Jake Sanson with you. I'll be joined shortly by Chris Milbourne, the voice of Dubai Autodrome. What a fantastic battle it is going to be this weekend after what we saw last time out. There were many and multiple sensational race battles over the course of the 2 days, and we're going to have exactly the same here today for National Race Day Round 3 here in Dubai. It's a fabulous battle that will await us for the NGK UAE ProCar Championship qualifying. We had the test session yesterday, and the man who is leading the cars out of the pit lane, René Munich, in the Honda Civic from the FIA World Touring Car Cup, was actually fastest in yesterday's free practice session ahead of Fabien Dufieux and Jerzy Spinkovic. From Kevin Day and Rahel Taneja, then Yahid Karim, Charlotte Simmons, Arifin Rafai and Roald Goethe ahead of Avik Anwar. There were plenty of drivers in the session that didn't actually go out and set timed laps in yesterday's test session. By the time they went out for session 2, though, there were quite a few more cars out on the circuit banging in laps. And René Munich is hoping that this is the weekend when he can put his pride and joy, his Honda Civic WTCR car up at the sharp end of the field. Certainly in Class 1, he is the favourite to do that. He was third in the second test session yesterday, behind Helal Al-Mazroui and Ahmad Al-Majid. René Munich in third from Fabien Dufieux and Jerzy Spinkovic, then Benjamin Goethe, Ahmed Al-Malahi, Will Morrison, Rahel Taneja, Kevin Day, who is in the Renault Clio that you can see just off to the left of your screen for the XL Motorsport team that he owns and manages, Charlotte Simmons, Sultan Al-Sawaidi, Yahid Karim, Avik Anwar, Arifin Rafai, Roald Goethe, and then the three other cars that did not turn a lap in practice, but we'll hopefully see them in race trim, Eduardo Miranda, Ricky Kumba, and Alexandros Anivas, who will be battling away. I've certainly heard from him already this morning. He's in bright spirits and looking forward to the off here at Dubai. So the cars are getting themselves ready for the banter and action to go out on track. There are 2 races to come over the course of the day, and they will be at 2:15 and 17:50 GST, Gulf Standard Time. So we're going to have some fabulous battles, and there is, of course, some racing from the Gulf Radical Cup today and tomorrow, as well as from, of course, the F4 UAE Championship and the Formula Regional Racing Championship. So plenty to keep us excited and plenty of excitement to come. So the NGK UAE ProCar Championship qualifying session will be the next session out on circuit. And as per, it is baking hot, the sun is out, the wind is trying its best to abate for just a little bit, so that the cars can get the best out of their qualifying session runs. There are 19 cars registered to be here. Not quite as big a field as we had last week, but then, of course, in just a week, some cars have had all sorts of difficulties after last weekend in terms of technical problems and mechanical maladies. So there are some cars that have not been able to return a week after they were here last. So the drivers are heading out onto the circuit very shortly. When they get the green light command at the end of the pit lane, they will head out for their qualifying session. 20 minutes around the course, and we will get to see what these guys can really do. But this is one of those circuits that, despite the bone-dry nature of it, it does change every lap. The crosswinds around here in the heart of the Motor City Desert essentially means that the circuit will change lap to lap, with sand covering the top surface of the tarmac. There goes the green light at the end of the pit lane, and René Munich and Alexandros Anivas, the 2 rivals in Class 1, head out onto the circuit together, and we will see which of them gets the top spot. There is the 977 coming out onto the circuit. That is Helal Al-Mazroui, who had a great race last week, as of course did this man, Ahmad Al-Majid, who comes out onto the circuit now. And then one of the Clios, that is the number 3 car of Yahid Karim. And then the AGMC BMW of Fabien Dufieux, who's going to be trying to battle away with René Munich and Alexandros Anivas for the Class 1 honours. That car, of course, for AGMC BMW, their HQ is literally a stone's throw away from turn 1 of the circuit. You cross the road and there is their HQ. So they are definitely competing on home soil, as it were. Well, I told you earlier at the top of the bill that joining me in the commentary box would be the voice of Dubai Autodrome. That, of course, is Chris Milbourne. Chris, great to see you back.
Great to be back as well. And you know what? Who else is great to be back as well on track is Will Morrison, of course, a previous champion here in the Clio Cups. Great to see him. He took a sabbatical essentially last year, was doing some driver coaching for Kenny Murray as Eduardo Miranda. Very feisty young Mexican working his way now out of the pit lane. And as Jake said before, we're going to have a fantastic race on hands, especially in the Gen 5 Clios, because, well, they may not be as exciting as you think, but don't count your chickens before they hatch, because these Renault Clios are incredibly good fun. They are fantastic on track, and they provide some phenomenal battles. We saw three-wheeling, I'm pretty sure, a bunch of drivers last week also went on two wheels as well, and we saw some real close beating and banging on doors all over the place as well. So qualifying about to get underway here to set the field up for the first race of the NGK UAE ProCar Championship, and it is a stellar lineup as always here at the Dubai Autodrome, running the full GP circuit here, so we're up to 5.29 kilometers in length, if I'm not mistaken. We're using all the track here, so a total up to 16 corners. The back straight, of course, has been extended from what it was last week in when we ran the international circuit, because of course we don't have that cut-off by turn 18. We go all the way round past sector 2 into the left-hander, so of course a different challenge from last week. They may have got it all nailed down in race 2 last week, but it's a completely different challenge here for this weekend in the NGK UAE ProCar Championship.
And the weather is actually even better this week than it was last week at about the same time. The wind is minimal, the sun is high, and the cloud coverage over the circuit is almost unheard of. As far as the temperatures of the circuit are concerned, they're going to climb very high today. So it's going to be a very interesting day of racing for these two NGK UAE ProCar Championship races later today. Obviously, multiple classes within the race, but what we're also going to get to see is a phenomenal battle out on the circuit amongst the classes. 5.29 kilometers in length, as we mentioned, and 16 corners, all of which are a real technical challenge here, especially when it is so dusty as it is here at the Dubai Autodrome. It goes on time and time again. We say it multiple times, but all it takes is a little bit of sand flown onto one particular part of the course, and the grip there is so minimal, because you've got to remember that essentially sand is molecules that contain the substance that happens glass. So it is very, very tricky, very, very difficult to get the cars to behave in the same way lap to lap, and the drivers have definitely got to be alert at all times.
And of course we had a similar situation last week as well. There's a lot of wind last week, there's a lot of it this week as well. So the waving proudly there on the right hand side of your screen. It's the bowl where things get a little bit tricky, because of course the sand and the dust settles at the bottom of the bowl there, and that of course is the inside line, so a lot of traction loss going through that corner there. Now with the addition of the GP circuit being run this weekend, we of course spread our way through turn 2, and it seems to be that the track has got a lot more technical than it was since last week, because of course we're running through turn 3 all the way through turn 9, and that complex there, because of course is sector 1, a lot tricky, a lot of very fast corners, and the corners are in quick succession as well, so a very fun and exciting sector 1 we're going to have here. Of course being provided great pictures as we were last week here at the Dubai Autodrome. So the first outlaps have been completed. Now we'll start seeing some laps being put in the books here, and we can start seeing who is where as the leaders now, as René Munich is working his way through sector 2, and a few other drivers working their way through as well on their not their flying lap, but their first quali lap here. As our first lane across the line, yes we do. Well, there's 9:77 as Hilal Al Mazroui across the line, but not showing he's got a full time in just yet. Oh, there we go. He's now gone top of the time sheet. Yes, he has, with a 2:11.641 here at the Dubai Autodrome. And of course, he is in the GTA category, if I'm not mistaken. And of course, joined with him is not René Munich, who's just gone to the top of the time sheet, because he's in the TCR category, but goes quickest of all. As Class 1 is René Munich, ahead of Femi Defoe in the BMW M4, with Alessandro Sanibas in 3rd at the moment. And then in GTC, unfortunately, Saif Al-Ameri not here this weekend, but Ahmed Al-Majid is, and he's worked his way up from an 86, the Toyota 86 that is, to a GTC car here. And he has come across line in a 2:13.116, which was second in class, but puts him behind both René Munich and Hilal Al Mazroui. In Class 2, Yahid Karim is the current leader so far, with a 3:36.712, but that is a outlap. That's not a full qualifying lap. Well, he's just put one in now. He's put 2:39.207, and he's in the older spec Clio. He's in the red one that you see on the right-hand side of your picture right now, just going out of shot. And he is in Class 2. Now, of course, you will notice that we do have a few Clios. We have the Gen 5, we have the Gen 3. So the Gen 5 all run in the Clio Cup category, to which we have a total of 9 here this weekend. And then in Class 2, we have the Gen 3 Clios, which will be running with the Honda Integra DC2 of Ricky Kumba, who has not gone out yet. We do have Rafi as well, who's not come out. Sultan Al Suwaidi now goes quickest of all. I think he's in the white Gen 3 Renault Clio, and there is Ricky Kumba in the back shot right now coming across the line. So great to see the DC5 out on track. So he's done a flying lap. Now it's time to put some quali laps in and see how far up the order he can go. So the Clio Cups though, Jose Spinkovic is the man to beat. He was certainly on point throughout the race weekend last time out here at the Dubai Autodrome. Of course, came into the championship for the first time. I think won both races in the NGK UAE ProCar Championship, put on fantastic battles throughout and kept all the clear drivers at bay. And he currently leads that ahead of Benjamin Goethe, who is currently running in second position with Will Morrison, defending champion. Well, not the defending champion actually, because he took a year out last year, didn't he? He is back in action. He is a former champion in the Clio Cup category when we used to race the Gen 3s, but great to see Will Morrison back in the 69 car. Charlotte Simmons was received the NGK Appreciation Award last week. Great to see her back as well. Currently in 4th position at the moment, but of course we've got plenty of time on the clock, Jake. We've got over 12 minutes in this quali session here, as Eduardo Miranda is looking to pick up the toe from Rahil Tanaja.
Yes, indeed. So it'll be interesting to see how the Clios get on. Last week, they were banging doors and throwing 7 bells at each other. It was an absolute ding-dong. Hopefully, we're going to get exactly the same this week. Obviously, the longer circuit configuration means they'll have a little bit more to battle away with over the course of the race. Here comes René Munich in the 77, the Honda Civic that he uses in the FIA World Touring Car Cup. I'm not sure if that's the same grade car from 2021 or if that's the year previous, the 2020 car. But certainly it is fantastic to see this car in race trim out here in Dubai. It's obviously very rare that you get to see the FIA WTCR cars racing outside that championship, so fabulous to see René Munich doing his best. He is currently on the top spot officially. For some reason, Fabien Dufieuse that time, which is good enough for 3rd place at 2:10.861. His transponder appears to have some kind of malfunction to it. It is coming up on one of the timing screens, but on this particular one that you can see, for some reason it's not registering. Everything else is accurate, so René Munich and Helal Al-Mazroui are the top 2. Then it is Fabien Dufieuse. Then Alexandros Anivas, who has gone 4th quickest. Ahmad Al-Majid is next in position, and Helal Al-Mazroui has just set the fastest lap at 2:07.990 there for the GTC car, the Porsche. So Helal Al-Mazroui has just gone to the top spot, and that is a very good performance from him so far. Then it is Ahmad Al-Majid, Jezek Spinkovic, Benjamin Goethe, Eduardo Miranda, the Mexican, then Will Morrison on his return in 9th place. Will Tanaja is in 10th position ahead of Kevin Day, and then Charlotte Simmons in front of Sultan Al Suwaidi, Ricky Kumba, Jahid Karim, Roald Goethe, Arifin Rafai, Ahmed Al Malai, and Avik Anwar. Now, there have been some deleted laps to report, so Roald Goethe has had his most recent lap invalidated due to track limits, as has Fabien Dufieuse. So Fabien Dufieus's last lap time has actually been deleted, which is one of the reasons why it might be malfunctioning on the timing screen to a certain extent. But yeah, he's had an invalidated lap on 2 occasions, in fact. So both lap 2 and lap 3 for Fabien Dufieuse have been invalidated. That would make a lot of sense as to why his times are not actually showing up properly on the screen. Because it says there is Fabien Dufieuse. Now, it says on the screen in front of you that he's leading, but in fact, both of his fast laps have actually been deleted. His most recent one is a 2:09.855, so when it updates, that would have him showing in 3rd position as he is supposed to be. But it just shows you just how difficult it is to string a decent lap together here, because track limits are very easy to fall foul of on this circuit, especially when lap to lap it's getting dustier. And the braking point is not necessarily as ideal from one lap to the next.
And it looks like he's got, has he got some duct tape on the front? No, he doesn't. It just seems to be the lighting reflecting off a little bit of silver paint there, although the back bumper does look like it's been replaced at some point here. Now, Jose Spinkovic has come into the pit lane. He, of course, is the current leader and the highest placed Clio at the moment. Now he's 1.5 seconds up the road from Benjamin Goethe, who's currently running in second in the Clio Cup category in terms of qualification. And then we have Eduardo Miranda now, who is showing his third position at the moment. So, okay, that explains it. So I was looking at where the 86s are in terms of the class. They don't actually have the A86 category running here this weekend. They've been moved into Class 2, although our timing screen is showing that there's one car missing, which is presumably Abiganwa's 86. Although he is shown as circulating, he's currently in 16th overall, just behind Arifan Rafi, and ahead of Ahmed Al-Malehi, who is currently shown as in the pit lane. And actually Sultan Al-Suwaidi now has gone as he improves, but that is due to, I presume it to be a lap time deleted. Yes, it is, because the track limit's down towards turn 12, so that explains why Sultan Al-Suwaidi's been dropped all the way back in his Gen 3 Clio. Remy Munich has come into the pit lane and has gone straight back out as well by the looks of it. Currently 19th of a second back from the pole sitter, Hilal Al-Mazroui, with a 207.990 ahead of Remy Munich, who's a 208.969 here. Alexander Stanimas, who is his, well, he is in the, well, they were in the TCR class, but no longer, aren't they? They're now in the Class 1, aren't they? Yes, they are. Yeah, Class 1. The BMW M4 now has some new cars to play with. It has the two TCR cars, and it's sort of the meat in the sandwich at the moment, because it's in between two of the TCR cars, because Remy Munich, of course, second, and Alexander down to fifth position as Ahmed Al-Majid now goes to fourth fastest in the number 72.
Now there is Kevin Day, the man who is running in the Renault Clio, but he also is running his own team, Excel Motorsports. So when you see the F4 cars come out later, those are his babies, his pride and joys, those particular cars. But Kevin Day, a very successful racing driver in his own right, and does a fabulous job in the UAE ProCars. He was very proud a couple of rounds ago to have his son his dad in his first weekend in a touring car. Very impressive. Hilal Al-Mazroui improves his time, does a 207.853 as we watch Fabien Devieux trying to get himself. Continue to outplay, but so far for the moment, Fabien Devieux is still looking at being in third position at the moment. Just gone 10:40 in the morning here, Gulf Standard Time. So a fabulous race battle over the course of the day. Two races from this, the NGK UAE ProCar Championship. We'll also be taking a look at the action from the Formula Regional Asian Championship, the Gulf Radical Cup. Great to see the Radicals back again. And obviously the F4 UAE Championship for star drivers of the future. Some great talents all across the Dubai Autodrome this weekend. And there are some big names from the world of motorsport. We're going to see some great battles. There is the 977. Still doing a fantastic job after its great win last weekend. Hilal Al-Mazroui did a brilliant job 7 days ago. It was fantastic when they had the NGK UAE ProCar last week. And he is hoping for very much the same.
Well, it's Saif Al-Ameri who was behind the wheel of 977 last week. Hilal Al-Mazroui was racing with us. However, he was in the sister Porsche during that time and finished second. So looking for an improvement onto the top step of the podium here.
Yeah, now, why do they swap cars in between race weekends? Is it just because, well, my car's not feeling particularly good? Can you help me set it up and get it ready for next week? What is the reason why they do this?
That could be a possibility. It also could be Saif Al-Ameri's not here this weekend because, of course, he's located in Abu Dhabi. So, of course, he might be taking it easy here this weekend and maybe preparing himself for next week because, of course, we hope that we'll see more of Saif Al-Ameri, especially in endurance races. Fingers crossed we get to see him in the Asia Le Mans Series, which, of course, starts next week. Be great to see an all-Emirati crew there racing. But if you've noticed, Jake, throughout the broadcast so far, if you have a look at Kevin Day's left-hand side, I noticed this last week, and I see he still hasn't fixed it, but his left-hand side door on the passenger side at the back is still damaged.
Yeah, he looks like he's gone 10 rounds with Anthony Joshua, doesn't he?
And that proves, I mean, it shows how competitive and how much the Clios lean on one another. And even with that dent or the big thwack in the side of it, it's still a competitive car because, of course, Kevin Day currently is just behind Eduardo Miranda and he's only 0.3 of a second off the pace. So even with that disrupted, I mean, I guess it would actually disrupt the aerodynamics just slightly, because of course that part of the car is now indented. And even looking at the number 20 there, of course, not being driven by Jeremy Lascelles this weekend, that's being driven by Benjamin Goethe, has also got a dent in the back of it, because that was Stuart Hall that was driving that car last week.
Right.
And oh, we've got a red flag, presumably, by the looks of it.
Yeah, we've got red flags. Yeah, red flags. Not entirely sure why that is, but the session has been brought to a stop. So somebody has obviously parked their car in a dangerous position with 3 minutes and 15 to go. There is the red flags. I don't think the session will get restarted as a result of that, because it's too close to the end of the session. They might still let them get out there for a few minutes. But masterly return to the fray of the word thwack, Chris. That needs an update. It needs a revival, that word, so thank you for that. Also, I was just looking at Kevin Day's car. I just wonder, has anybody mislaid the sledgehammer in between race weekends?
I don't think so.
Panel beating is still a thing that happens in sports cars and touring cars.
That or the plunger needs to come out at some point as well. I've noticed
indeed.
Charlotte Simmons has not gone through sector 1, 2 or 3. Now, she's currently not being shown as in the pit lane and is the only driver not to have gone sector 1, so I presume it may be the number 28. No, there's number 28 circulating,
right.
So it's not Charlotte Simmons. She just has a transponder issue. So it might be the 72 that may have caused this red flag, because that car is not being shown in the pit lane.
The 72's just come in past our position under our window, so
okay, so it's not him either.
That would clear that up. Also coming into the pits underneath our position is Ahmed El Malahi, who hadn't actually got a qualifying lap in at all. So problems there for Ahmed El Malahi. So I'm not entirely sure why we've got this red flag. I'm trying desperately to look around and see if there's a dropped car, because this is what happens occasionally. You see a car parked up in the background. You have to try and be eagle-eyed to spot it, but certainly can't quite make out the apparent reason for the red flag, and nothing has come up on our timing screen to suggest why either. So we may have brought the session to an earlier than planned stop, and I would not at all be surprised if we don't get started again here, because obviously there's only a handful of minutes left. So what we should do at this point really is run through the positions as they stand. Helal Al-Mazrouri is the fastest driver. René Munich in second place from Fabian Dufieux and Ahmed Al-Majid. Then Alexandros Anivas and Ricky Kumba. Jozek Spinkovic and Benjamin Goethe from Eduardo Miranda. And in the top 10 is Kevin Day. Behind it is Will Morrison ahead of Rahil Tanasia. Yahid Karim and Charlotte Simmons from Sultan Al-Sawadi. Road Goethe, Arafin Rafai, Avik Anwar, and not getting a lap time in qualifying at all, unfortunately. So not the greatest of starts. Ahmed El Malahi, not exactly sure what happened, because in practice, Ahmed El Malahi was pretty quick. So for some reason, technical problems keeping Ahmed from actually getting a decent lap under his belt. As there we just watch Eduardo Miranda, as the young teen has been doing a great job as he's come out here. I managed to catch up, actually, with our race winner last week in the Clios, Jozek Spinkovic. Managed to bump into him at the end of the weekend. And he said, you know, this is great fun. I really enjoy coming out here. It's a great training ground, because we don't have a lot of racing in Europe at this time of year. And to be honest, even my local pond is frozen over. So it's much better to come racing in Dubai when I've actually got a racetrack to play with that doesn't look like it's a skating rink. So he's very much enjoying the transition. He's hoping to go and race in Clio Cup in Europe. Which is why he's obviously here using this as a good training ground and winning races straight out of the blocks. That's definitely one for the Europeans to keep an eye on.
It seems a few drivers and teams are looking to get back out on track as they're lining up at the end of the pit lane. And we've just ticked over the time as essentially elapsed for the session here. Now I'll try to put on my detective cap and ask around to see what's happened.
Right. The timing screen I've got in front of me says that the time on the clock stopped at 6:58 elapsed. So that means that they are going to resume, and they will resume with 3 minutes and 2 seconds on the clock. So we will get a little bit more running left in. There is a car, we are told, stationary on track, and that is Arafin Rafai. So Arafin Rafai, the 25, is the only car not in the pit road. So that is the car that's obviously stopped out on circuit. That is unfortunate for Arafin. He was starting to get into a bit of a stride there with his lap times and was looking to threaten the likes of Sultan Al Sawadi and Roald Goethe for sector time. Certainly was pretty quick in sector 2. But yeah, some kind of mechanical problem has rather hampered Arafin Rafai, who is showing up in 17th position on my timing screen, just in front of Avik Anwar and Ahmed Al Malahi, who has yet to bring in a competitive lap time. Although, actually, having said that, one timing screen says he hasn't done a lap yet, and another one says he's done a 2:39.520. So one of those statements is correct. We'll find out which one when we get ready for the starting grid. But yeah,
we certainly will. So we got 3.5 minutes on the clock when the session gets restarted, as the cars and teams now line up at the end of the pit lane here. And it is getting slightly warmer here in the United Arab Emirates. It is still, I guess, briskly cold, at least for residents here. I mean, I'm running around in a sweater, getting some strange looks from people because I should really be running around in shorts and a t-shirt. But of course, for us here in the United Arab Emirates, this is cold for us, and it is quite nippy here as well. But for the drivers that are waiting on the grid, it's getting hotter because they're in the direct sunlight there. Of course, they've got no AC inside the car as well. They've just got a little window that they can pop out. And, of course, we may see some doors opening as well. We saw Ricky Coomber do that in race 2 before the start there, as there's a recovery vehicle in the back of the shot there, but there's no car being towed behind it. So, presumably, the recovery effort is still underway for Arafin in his number 25 car. Now, he was 15th fastest here in the NGK UAE ProCar Championship qualifying session. As Arafin has got out of the recovery vehicle and he's walked now conversing with the team, telling them what's happened and what's gone wrong. Now, presumably we'll see that car come into the pit lane as well at some point. But yes, of course, the red flag is out here for the first time in the NGK UAE ProCar Championship. Hilal Al-Mazrouri, the fastest man out there, and he's not the car that's in second position here in this queue. In the front is Jerzy Spinkowicz, the young Polish driver here, very strong in the Clio Cups. And then behind, now that's not safe. No, it's not safe Al Emirates. It's Hilal Al-Mazrouri who's driving that car, but that's not his Porsche there at all. That is. So
let's look over some of the highlights from the session so far. Obviously, as we got going again at the start of session, it's been really interesting to see how the drivers have been competing. So this is obviously the drivers as they head out onto the circuit for the start of qualifying. Hilal Al-Mazrouri is the man who has set the pace initially from Renault Munich, and Fabien Dufieux. Dufieux has actually come through and set some very decent pace over the course of the session so far. Ahmed Al-Majid has been very quick indeed. There is the 22 of Rod Goethe, who has been making solid progress over the course of the session so far. And there's been a nice little battle going on between Rahul Taneja and Eduardo Miranda on the road as well as on the timesheets. Ahmed Al-Majid has got himself up into the top 5. Alexandros Anivas, the Greek sensation, looking particularly good here, and definitely looking quite solid and strong in the Cupra TCR. In front of Fabien Dufieux, although he's not quite in front of him in terms of lap times. There's about a second or so between them. But this man, Hilal Al-Mazrouri, who has hopped into the 977 Porsche for this week, definitely getting good signs. Charlotte Simmons going solidly, consistently well. But of course, up to this point, we are now up to red flag period. But as you can see, the green light has gone on the pit lane. Perfect timing. We return to the action.
And it's Ahmed Al-Majid there in the Porsche in the 72, isn't it? Of course, he was racing in the A86 category last week, but he's decided to upgrade and take over Hilal Al-Mazrouri's car with Saif Al-Ameri currently not being here, as Ahmed Al-Majid now in the GTC category with Hilal, and actually no, he's running in second. The timer screen showing us the other way around for some reason, but Hilal Al-Mazrouri is still the man to beat. And here is a good look at the difference between the two Clios that we have racing here. The red one is from rentrace.ae, and of course being its position in Class 2, whereas the newer Clio Cup, that's the Gen 5, has its own category, which is the Clio Cup category, as we're looking at Rahul Taneja here. He's been on the podium a number of times, even an outright winner, but this season it just hasn't come to him so far. He's had some great race pace, but we haven't seen him up there mixing it up with the likes of it when it comes to the end. So it's last weekend actually, it was Jerzy Spinkowicz who was the man to beat, and Eduardo Miranda is always up there as well, although his tenacities can sometimes get the better of him. But Rahul Taneja, always cool behind the wheel, as always biding his time, but unfortunately just hasn't gone his way. Looking forward to seeing him back on the podium here this weekend if he can do it, because of course currently running outside of the top 5 by the looks of it in the Clio Cup category. Actually, no, scrap that. Yes, he is, because he's currently 6th overall in terms of quali, and that was a Class 1 Clio. Yes, that was a Class 2 Clio that went off in the back shot. That was that would have been Arifin Rafai's car, isn't it? That's the 25. Yes, it would be. Unfortunately, that car has been recovered, but we have 1.5 minutes to go here at the Dubai Aerodrome for qualifying for the NGK UAE ProCar Championship. Not a lot of time left on the clock, to be honest, because it essentially gives them one out lap, and then they've got one full lap to do another quali lap, and that's it here. So not a lot of time left on the clock, especially for Ahmed Al-Malehi, who has not done a lap time at all. He's not put in a lap anywhere. He's done a 6:34.175. He's managed to do 2 laps, but they've been slow, and he's not been able to put in one solid lap here. So he'll have to start at the back of the grid here in the NGK UAE ProCar Championship. As we see a lot of the Clios together here, Charlotte Simmons right in the middle of it, and then the number 2 car, that's Jose Spinkovic, who's just come into the pit lane. Eduardo Miranda is going to lead Charlotte Simmons and Kenny Murray around the track for one last lap here, Jake, and I presume what they're going to do here is they're going to try and, well, basically tow each other round. Now, is that actually Kenny Murray who's behind the wheel of that car? Because his name is on the side. No, it's not. It's Sultan Al-Suwaidi who's decided to jump in, and it's great to see him actually, because he did the Class 1 Clios last year, sorry, Class 2 Clios last year. Great to see a local driver here having a go in the Clio Cup category.
Very much indeed, but as you say, they're only going to get one flying lap in because we had the red flag for 3 minutes and 2 to go. It takes them about 2 minutes 5 in the fastest category, slightly more than that, to get a lap in. So they're literally only going to get one flying lap because time is up now. So we are down to 0. So anybody that hasn't crossed the line, well, they're not going to get any more time to run. Now, for some reason, Ahmed Al-Malehi's times are now not showing up, so he is definitely showing on the timing screen as 19th. He hasn't set a single qualifying lap from what we can see. But obviously we do know now, of course, that the driver that was involved in the red flag incident was Arifin Rafai, the 25. He is showing up as 17th place on a 2-minute 35.23. So now this is just a case of who is going to be ridiculously quick. And not everybody has gone out, I noticed. There are still quite a few cars that have sat in pit road. Helal Al-Mazroui has not brought the Porsche back out. He clearly feels, well, I'm 2 seconds ahead of Rennie Munich. There's no way he's going to catch me. So I'm just going to park it and have a nice early Lipton iced tea or something. Rennie Munich is the one out there. So is Ahmed Al-Majid, Benjamin Goethe, Eduardo Miranda, Tanasia, Kareem, Simmons, Al-Suwaidi, Goethe, Arifin Rafai, I think he's actually still parked up. I thought he was out on track for a moment, but no, he is still parked up. And the last one is Avik Anwar. Everybody else is still in the pit lane. They've clearly decided, you know what, I don't need to put another lap in. I'm fairly decently happy with what we've produced. There are a few others who feel they can push the envelope just a little bit more. And
it seems to be the Clios weren't working together on this last lap. They could have done with it and gotten those lap times that they wanted to, because of course all the things that are circulating are apologies, Jake, just give me 1 sec. I'll pass it to you quickly, Jake.
Righto, so Rennie Munich is trying to come through over the line to see if he can improve his time. The time is currently at 2-minute 8.9. Across the line comes the 20, that is Benjamin Goethe. He is 8th after his lap, at 2:24.725, so his last lap was his best as they come through. We're going to see a few more do the same thing. Ahmed Al-Majid is going across the line, as is Rennie Munich. Fabian Defieux in the BMW has not gone out again. The Clios all come through en masse. Miranda stays 9th, Tanasia is 12th, Simmons is 14th. Does not improve on her final lap. Sultan Al-Suwaidi is going to come through, and he gets his best lap at 2:30.013. Also a personal best for Roald Goethe. He's come through on a 2:34.078. So quite a few drivers actually able to do personal bests in their final lap. I'll tell you one man who didn't, Jahid Karim, did not get the personal best lap from his lap times. But that is it. The checkered flag is obviously out. They only got one flying lap in of qualifying, but it's Helal Al-Mazroui who is unbeaten at the top spot in his Porsche, the car number 977. Rennie Munich in front of Fabian Defieux, Ahmed Al-Majid and Alexandros Anivas. And then it is Ricky Kumba from Jozef Spinkovic, who is hoping and definitely threatening to be the top spot in Renault Clio Cup again. Then Benjamin Goethe, Eduardo Miranda, Kevin Day, Will Morrison, Rahel Tanasia, Jahid Karim, Charlotte Simmons, Sultan Al-Suwaidi, Roald Goethe, Arifin Rafai, Avik Anwar, and with no time at all, Ahmed Al-Malehi. Either that or there is a problem with the transponder on that particular car. I'm sure we'll get an update update, and I'm sure it'll all make sense by the time we come around again. We have just been given a message that the Gulf Radical Cup Race 1 pit lane will open at 2 minutes past 11. So that is in about 4 to 5 minutes time, and that's where our attention will avert. So it is not going to be too long before we bring you the coverage of the Gulf Radical Cup Race. Race 1 of 3 this weekend, 2 sprints and an enduro tomorrow. So plenty of great action to come here at Dubai Autodrome. So let's just very quickly talk you through the highlights from the session in the NGK UAE ProCar Championship as we go over the final results then of the qualifying session ahead of the races later today from the NGK Sparkplugs UAE ProCar Championship, of which there will be 2 races here at the Dubai Autodrome. So right from the start, the Porsches came out to put on a good show, and Helal Al-Mazroui got the fastest time at 2 minutes 6.893. Ahmed Al-Majid got a 2:10.3 and is 4th quickest. René Munich in his FIA World Touring Car Cup car from the allinkle.com Munich Motorsport team that he races for and runs out in the FIA World Touring Car Cup was 2nd fastest overall and fastest in class. So a 2 minute 8.969 lap from him, just in front of the AGMC BMW, driven by Fabien Dufieux from the team that is based literally across the road from here. Then Alexandros Senivas is behind Ahmad Al-Majid, his Cupra TCR going 5th quickest after a brilliant session, battling with this man in the 72 Porsche. There is Alexandros Senivas, 5th position he will be in the times. Ricky Kumba in 6th position. Good to see him right up at the sharp end again. And in the Clio Cup, it'll be the Polish star Jacek Spinkiewicz, the former FIA Karting European Championship sensation, who will battle away with the likes of Benjamin Goethe, Eduardo Miranda and Kevin Day, ahead of Will Morrison, Rahel Taneja, Jahid Karim, Charlotte Simmons, Sultan Al-Sawaidi, Roald Goethe, and then we have the battles further behind from Arifin Rafai, Avik Anwar and Ahmad Al-Malahi. The red flag session definitely caused a little bit of a headache in qualifying, but there were a few drivers that were able to utilize the final bit of running to get their last flying lap in. René Munich was not able to improve upon his time. Ahmed Al-Majid neither, but Benjamin Goethe tried his best to and was able to get a 2:24.725, which I believe was eventually deleted due to track limits. Eduardo Miranda could not improve, nor could Rahel Taneja or Jahid Karim. But certainly for a few of the drivers out there, such as Sultan Al-Sawaidi and Roald Goethe, they were able to get improvements in their final flying lap of qualifying. But at the front, it will be Helal Al-Mazroui as expected.